And we're live! Hello and
Hello.
welcome to our new episode of Roleplay Ukraine. We're excited to introduce the Ukrainian tabletop RPG community and fundraise for the good cause. Your donations will support the procurement of medical supplies, which literally saves lives. What can be better? I will shortly remind you that we accept donations through different platforms and tools. We surely have PayPal, which you can find by charity at roleplayua.com, or you can directly donate to our charity partner Ray of Hope Foundation, rayofhope.com.ua, or through our Donatello account. I will not even attempt to read this out, but I sure hope that our awesome moderators are currently dropping the links to all of these amazing platforms to the chat, and we will definitely add them to the description of the video later on. Here in Ukraine, we love to say there is no such thing as a small donation. Every bit counts. So please follow our links and donate. While you're doing this, let me introduce myself. My name is Tasha, and I am a co founder and one of permanent GMs at the most diverse tabletop RPG show in Ukraine, Idea Roll. We do actual plays from many different systems, including Call of Cthulhu, Delta Green, Vampire the Masquerade, D&D, Tales from the Loop, Mothership, and, of course, Vaesen. Being a fan of spooky stories, I'm absolutely delighted to welcome my today's guests, part of the team who developed a supplement for Vaesen called Spirits and Monsters of Mythic Ukraine. Given the warmest welcome and a round of virtual applause to Yevhen Makeyev and
Hello.
Alexander Lazarenko.
Hey,
Hello. So, first and foremost, do tell a bit about yourselves and your gaming experience.
Okay, I will start. Hi again. My name is Eugene. I'm a tabletop role-playing games gamer for 10 years. GM a bit less, for 3 years. I play different games, but mostly Dungeons Dragons. But also I love Western. I love Symbaroum and Star Wars RPG. These are my main passions. I write a blog about tabletop RPGs. I publish games on Games Guild, but now also looking for other publishing websites like Drive-Thru RPG and different system. And I'm author of a campaign for 5th edition for Ravenloft. And I'm administrator of Ukrainian Vaesen community.
That sounds amazing. And correct me if I'm wrong, I think that you also published, you're the author of several adventures on Drive-Thru RPG who got like Electrum or Golden status or something,
Yeah, that's
right?
right. Thank you. Yeah, and one more thing which I forgot to add, that I'm now trying to help other people to write and publish. Together with my comrades, I organize anthology of Ukrainian adventures under Creative Commons for D&D 5e. Yeah, so there is
This
that also.
This is amazing to hear because actually, my friends and me, we played some of the adventures you published and we loved it. Totally recommend to check it out also. And now, giving the floor to Alexander.
yeah, my name is Alexander, but probably you saw me as Alex Sanchez in the Discord. I'm doing quite different stuff. The most recent one is the Vaesen Spirits and Monsters of Mythic Ukraine. Also, I am administrating this Discord server, Roleplay Ukraine. I have also small community of role players in Kiev. There are roughly a bit more than 200 people, and usually we just send pictures of our cats and dogs, and sometimes just hanging out offline playing games. I play like quite a lot of different games and systems, but my love and my passion is Vaesen and Tales from the Loop. I've really fond of these games because of their mood, atmosphere, and of course, really amazing art. Like it's just
Very
gorgeous.
true.
So yeah, uh, I'm just a role player who almost always says yes. So I'm participating in really different projects.
Well, yeah, and probably when you're GM and you're always saying yes, but.
Yes, but yes.
Okay, but. Yeah, mentioning pets from Cats and Dice, I do have two cats running here somewhere around from time to time. They're jumping on my lap. So there is a good chance we will show off some cats too on the stream. Um, so coming a bit back to our topic, can you please tell me how did you first encounter Vaesen? I mean, the system, of course, but in case you did encounter real life Vaesen, also do tell.
Okay, I will start. I learned about it accidentally. I think it was time when Mythic Britain and Ireland Kickstarter was in full swing, and the ads were like everywhere. So I encountered the art from Johan, like it was my first introduction, and I immediately was interested. And then later, when I was abroad, I visited a bookshop and saw the books like in person and fell in love with them. I think the next step I also learned how the system came to be, and it all started with a book from Johan Egerkrans, awesome Swedish illustrator. So he compiled the stories about Swedish Vaesen and raw illustrations for each one of them. And then guys at Friligo said, well, this looks like a tabletop RPG system almost done. We need to just take it as a basis and add some mechanics, like year zero on top of it. And that's how it came to be. And yeah, so basically I saw the art and immediately fell in love. That's my story.
Oh, I can totally relate because I first saw Vaesen at one of the Essen board games festivals, and I had no idea what that is, but I was like, wow, that looks pretty. I want this book. So, yeah. And Alexander?
Uh, I saw the game. Firstly, it was the game review from the role-playing channel Вечерние Кости, which currently is closed, unfortunately, due to the war. And then I read it. I saw these amazing illustrations, and my imagination just exploded with the great stories. So I just ran the first adventure in the core book. Get the chills, and my players were really stressed out because the atmosphere was so tensive there, and the game mechanics was so easily and so supportive to the narration that it was like the perfect combination of the mechanic and the atmosphere and the stories. So yeah, I just fell in love with it, and after that I am a true fan of Vaesen.
I just love how you put it that you love the system and how nicely it is developed, which I totally agree to. But I just remember that when I was preparing my first Vaesen adventure, Alexander was actually giving me some tips, and he was so excited, saying like, there is this doom spiral of death with all of the conditions that characters are getting
Well,
during the
yeah,
playthrough. And I
that's
was
true.
like, yeah, absolutely amazing game. Spiral of death. um,
Yeah.
okay. My next question, of course, will be about how did you come up with an idea of creating this supplement book? I mean, there are many systems I love, which is why I know for the fact that love on its own is not enough. There should be something else, some push inside to actually have this, like, yeah, let's do it. So, what was yours?
Okay, then I will start. So
Please
in
do.
Ukraine, we have researchers of Ukrainian mythology, quite awesome ones, like on par with Mr. Egerkrans from Sweden. And one of them is Daria Korni. I will show the book.
Hmm.
So it's named Magical Creatures of Ukrainian Myth, and there is three of them, and each one of them is gorgeously illustrated, and it already has like so much role playing aspect built into it that I'm a bit surprised. Like about each creature, it says what it likes, what it dislikes, how it came to be, what's his like magical items and abilities. So it's already like a powerful basis for building RPG on top of it.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, and I was also I was thinking about something like Vaesen, but in Ukrainian setting, uh, kind of Ukrainian supernatural, but in the past. But then I learned about Vaesen, and it fitted perfectly. But the main point was that, if I'm not mistaken, in January, there were a project named Malovi, which gathered artists from all over Ukraine, and they wanted to create a Ukrainian bestiary for the Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, and illustrate that, write about different Ukrainian monsters. And they have like gorgeous illustration. It was a charitable project which was dedicated to the raising money for the charity for the Ukrainian defenders, and it just clicked that that would be really great to reuse this art if possible, and write about Vaesen, because I think that when you write some monster in Dungeons and Dragons, is more like a meatball. So you just need to kill it. But Vaesen is about the story, the motivation, and the personality of the creature or the beast. So it was the great chance to tell about great Ukrainian creatures which really has some personality, and hopefully we managed to get the illustration, and then the work started to burn.
It sounds great.
Yeah, I
So,
agree. Sorry, yeah, I will add to that when you're looking at Western stat block in comparison with like more traditional games like D&D, you're thinking you're looking at backstory first, art, and potential conflicts, because you're interested about how this creature came to be, like how it fits in human society, and what could happen if something goes wrong. Yeah. So like we saw this stat box, and well, we know a system which would perfectly suit to put this project into RPG.
well, this actually brings me. I was thinking myself, reading through the book, and I am now preparing an adventure, a game based on the plot hook from this book, and I'm loving it. What draw my attention is how different these plot hooks are, because very often you can see the plot hook like, some evil creature woke up, or someone disturbed it and some bad stuff started happening. But very often in your book, I see the plot hook that these creatures, they were just living their life, and then people happened nearby. And it's not necessarily always evil and trying to, do something other than survive. How do you come with these plots? What motivates you? Where you draw inspiration to come with the conflicts? Because this is an important part when you're thinking about like encounters.
Yeah, so I will start. It was quite a hard part for me, I would say. So one thing which I took for inspiration is fairy tales. Like in Daria Corney's book, for each creature she describes there is a fairy tale about it. So you can read and draw some inspiration for conflicts here. And also the descriptions in the book, they're quite large, and you can read about what people thought about this creature, what they told about it, and also draw some inspiration for conflicts, like from the people telling about their encounters with the entity.
I also absolutely love how different the creatures are, because you have someone really small and tiny and still making an influence on like humans' lives, but not so obvious. And then at the other side of the scale, you have V, who is a very well-known, very popularized, and very lethal creature in Ukrainian mythology. And I was like, wow, this is a big scale.
Yep, I will also say that we had previously, even before this project, we had a group which is the Ukrainian Vaesen Society, and everyone who plays and like Vaesen or wants to play Vaesen joined this group. So we shared the call that we have this project and we need authors who want to write about these creatures. And a lot of people answered our call, and as well. So and returning to the monsters and their conflicts, I'm not consider myself more as a creator, but as a craftsman. So
Oh.
when we have the description of the Vaesen, and it indicates some of its traits, some of its quirks, and I use them in the conflict. So, like for example, when Perelesnik fly by the village, crops started to wilt there. So I just made a conflict that, well, crops started to wilt in the village, and suddenly the presumably dead husband of the widow appeared, but it was apparently the Perelesnik who turned his shape and
Mhm.
came to her. So I just used these tricks and features of the Vaesens and just turned them into the story, into the spark of the story, and then we'll see
Yeah,
what
that's
happens.
that's great. That's really helpful. So we already kind of started talking it through, but can you tell us a bit more about how do you organize? Probably how did you organize and plan this project? Was there a lot of people involved? You already mentioned like you had a team of artists. How long did it take? And
Yes, I would say it took about 2 months, I think, and then once to translate it into English. And about the artist, we just contacted Felix Sora, who organized Molivi, and get their permissions to use the art. And also we had several artists in-house, I believe, who helped us with the art with that we were missing at the time. About organization, like she mentioned, we made the call in the group, and we gathered nine authors, I believe, who volunteered to do the work. And we had this like Excel table with a list of creatures. It was 27, quite a long list. And we said, okay, everybody who wants to participate, you can take 2 of them and fill them using this template, which Yulia organized. And then we discovered that we have not enough people, so our active core group of 6 people started taking additional Vaesens to fill all these 27. Yeah.
so there are 27 creatures, correct?
Yeah.
And each of them has like 3 plot hooks. So I'm trying to calculate, but I'm really bad with math. So, but it's almost 90 potential scenarios you can develop. That's pretty awesome.
78.
Um, Almost 90 sounds so much better, but yes, that's still a whole lot of scenarios. And a lot of people to organize them to do it in 2 months. I'm officially impressed. That's a great job.
Well, yeah, I believe that the writing part was just maybe a half or a third part of the whole process. So then we were editing these descriptions to give them consistency through the whole book. So they were written in the same manner. Then we have the layouts, which was perfectly great, done by Bogdan Mokriev, aka Ilair, who presented a Space Cowboy a few years ago, a few hours ago. I'm sorry. So yeah,
That's been a long day. It's understandable.
That's been a long week, I would say. So yeah, and then were the English translation, and I believe we will talk about this a bit later. So yeah.
Yeah, I'll just add that Alexei is the most awesome editor like ever. Yeah.
Great, great. Well, great to know. Thank you, Alexei, too. But let's talk about English version now. Why not? Because you already touched a bit about it, and I'm sure everybody wants to know: is there English version, or will it be available soon? Where can we find it?
Uh, Eugene?
Yeah, we posted it today, so it's already available, and yeah, we'll share a link where you can download it. So it's here, it's arrived.
Ooh, super awesome. So it's happening. It happened. Actually, I hope our moderators can drop a link to drive through our drive through RPG. It is
Drive
Yeah,
I think
through
so.
RPG.
so
Yes.
To the chat, and we will definitely add it to the description of the video. So come check it out. It's pretty awesome. Um, is it distributed for free or it's pay what you want?
yes, I will add about this a bit.
Hmm.
It's free, and it was like one of the requirement from artists under which they agreed to work, because
Hmm.
Malvi was like a volunteering project. It's distributed. Its goal was to raise funds for charity, and there was a problem with drive-through, I believe, because the only payment method is PayPal, and PayPal and Ukraine doesn't work too well together for now. So we cannot do things like we do pay what we want, we gather funds on PayPal and then transfer to charitable fund. So what we did instead is we made the collection free, and inside we have a chapter about charitable links, like where you can go and donate to our cause if you want to.
That is amazing. So once again, if you want, I don't have the book, the book about Ukrainian mythic entities, but I do have the core Vaesen book. So if you love this system, if you want to enhance it with some more experiences from Ukrainian point of view, so please go look for it. It's called Spirits and Monsters of Mythic Ukraine. It's free and you can totally use it in your adventures to edit some Ukrainian spice.
Yeah,
Okay,
sure.
I was sure. Of course, this is so great. I'm very
Uh,
excited and pumped because I when I first heard about this project, I was like, yeah, of course, maybe someone in a year or something like that will develop it. But then, like, it was here, and it's the quality is pretty amazing. And then, really quick, you also did the English version, so I am so very happy and
yeah,
impressed.
and I believe that the team formed in that way that there were super engaged people, and sometimes we just have to stop people imagining and creating something different than our book, because we like we mentioned Ukrainian society, where it would be located.
Hmm.
And like we ended up 2 hours later choosing different castles and mansions through all Ukraine, and I was like, "Wow, stop! We are not doing this. We have to finish the spirits and monsters before." But yeah, Mystic Ukraine is really interesting, and I believe, maybe one day we will manage to write this edition as well.
Yeah, we hope. Yeah, we already had talks in our Western group about writing a collection of mysteries, like based on Ukraine. And now we have necessary tools to do that, because at the heart of every Western mystery is a Western special creature.
Well, this is
Yes,
great, and you're. Oh, yep. Sorry.
and it is really important because looking through the Vaesen descriptions, there are really a lot of things that are closely connected to Ukraine and Ukrainian culture, and that would be not that easy just to write an adventure related to some Vaesen without explaining why, like, the stove or the oven is so important, and it's in the heart of the house, and why different spirits live there, or like plenty of different things, like why you should not I don't know, bring water inside your house after the down. So yep. So eventually we will have to write the Mythic Ukraine to provide the most full immersion in these adventures.
Yeah, I agree. And there is difficulty in writing mysteries because to do that, you need to develop setting of Mythic Ukraine at least a bit, so you understand where the stories are taking place.
Yep.
You're actually stepping a bit forward to my question, which was about plans for the future, and a question from the chat, because people are asking Mythic Ukraine setting book. Give us some dates and hot takes. I'm not sure you have the dates yet, but I surely can sense the spirit
No.
that it's coming. It's happening. Is it?
Yeah, I would say definitely at some point. Like we're discussing it in the chat from time to time, and as Alexander mentioned it during the work, there already was like, okay, we need maybe add more unique talents. We need to develop a setting a bit. So it's happening at some point, I would say.
Yeah. If you're watching us, please drop more questions in the chat if you have questions, of course, because I have some of my own.
Yeah,
And
and we
I
have this example of success story on the drive-through. I believe there is a supplement, Mythic Japan. So Japanese
Mhm.
community, they developed and produced a third-party supplement for Japan. So yeah, we can take inspiration in that.
Yeah, great. That's actually a great example. I think it was quite successful too.
Yeah, I believe it's silver or even higher. So it sold quite a bit of copies.
Yeah, that is great. To actually, this is also a great mean to learn about the culture and legends of other ethnicities. It's really amazing. Yep. Do you think you mentioned already several times that you have a group chat and a community of fans of Vaesen, who many of whom have contributed already to this book. Do you think you can gather like feedback from people who actually tried and played with some of these creatures about, as you mentioned, which castles they used for bases, or which locations they put their Vaesens at? Because another thing I was really impressed with is how you worked with the mapping, given every potential plot hook, some probable place where it might occur, be it near the river or in the mountains or somewhere else. This is a big job. So, are you looking for inputs from players who actually played, or GMs who GM'd based on your book? Are you
Oh,
accepting?
that will be wonderful and very helpful. Yeah, if you got some input.
So, have you heard them? Please, if you
Yeah.
if you play, drop a line of how did it go, what did you like, and where you put your adventure to which region.
Yeah, sure. And a few words about the mapping. Actually, we already have a Google map with like 30 castles and mansions on all over Ukraine as a potential places for the headquarters of the Ukrainian society. But yeah, and I believe that right in these conflicts, these plot hooks for the adventures, it was really important to provide the names of the locations, so it felt Ukrainian. Because if you like write some strange stuff happening in the village, like that could be Sweden, Poland, I don't know, Japan. But if you write that it's in Poltavshina, in the village of Avramivka, and this is the all real places. So you can open the Google Maps and look at it from the above or through the street view to see more about this location. So I believe this also was quite important to add to the description.
That
I also
was
believe we have quite a bit of made up names for places. So there is a mix. There is real places and there is made up ones.
aha. This I did not know because I googled some of the places I saw there. Like, oh wow, amazing, nicely done. Yeah, and I can totally relate to the thing you're explaining about the castles. Once again, being preparing the adventure. Currently, I was thinking like which place to select as a base, which castle, and I was discussing a bit with my team. And they were like, there is this really cool place. Let's maybe pick it up. And then we're Googling, and it was only built in the beginning of 20th century. So probably it will not work. How about that one? How about another one? And it's even educational for us, considering even that we're Ukrainians, but we don't know that there is plenty to discover even for local ones. So this is great too. That said, is it possible to adopt some of the Vaesens from your book to some other settings? Can you meet some of them in other countries across Europe? I don't know, maybe in States or somewhere else? Or are they like super unique?
Yeah, I will say about that. I jam at a mystery in Britain, and like I read the Britain book from cover to cover while preparing to do that. And they encourage you to do that. I believe in one of the mysteries, it is written that like London is the capital of the world at the time, and a lot of traveling occurs. And some vessel, they definitely can travel, for example, from Sweden and from the Mythic North, and end up in Britain somewhere. So I would say it's like almost like in American Gods, like the Western, they travel with the people who believe in them. So I believe it's totally possible that they will travel with some immigrants and end up in other parts of the world, and there could be interesting stories to find here.
Yeah, and
Yeah, great take.
also some of the Vaesens are probably maybe considered as Slavic Vaesens, so they could be common for the Poland, Slovakia, Czech Republic, and our close neighbors, because doing the research, we've seen the mentioning of these or similar creatures in other cultures, and even sometimes with the same name. So yeah, it's completely accessible and easy just to take the Vaesen and just to erase the name of the village, and that would be just a village, some regular Scandinavian village. Yeah, but also about these toponyms which we used, the names. Some of them were made up, some of them were researched and Googled, and I found, and also we add some links to the other societies, mainly the British one, because at 19th century, Ukrainian coal was started to mine, and it was the British businessmen who settled the mines. And when some strange things happen in the mines, that even possible that the British members of the society will visit Ukraine to deal with these Vaesen.
Well, that is just marvelous idea. I think if or when you're working with the more supplement books and setting, you should definitely mention it. Like, what could be the connection, as you mentioned before, that some immigrants can bring the spirits they believe in with them, or maybe it could be some cursed item which also has a hidden Vaesen or something like that. Or yeah, like you just mentioned, that industrial development, it's one of the main motives of the system
Yes.
itself. How industry development comes into clash with local spirits who's been living here for years. This is a great potential. And also, if you're playing some campaign set in Scandinavia or Mythic Britain or anywhere else, and you do not really want to go far away from your main plot, but you want to experience something new and exotic, this is the great opportunity to just introduce these new creatures into your ongoing game.
Yeah,
I love
like
it.
some filler episodes. when the whole party went to some short adventure besides the main plot.
Yeah, it's like Monster of the Week. Oh, guys, there is something happening in the mines in Ukraine.
Yep.
And our boss
Yeah.
is the owner of the place, so we have to go investigate. That sounds awesome. Yeah. Let me quickly check if we have any other questions. If you have, please do type them. And then, can we get a link to the potential sites? I'm not sure I'm getting the question. Potential sites.
I think it's
Like
about our
website.
map, the castles which you mentioned.
Ah, okay. Yeah. If you have like from the top of your head a few examples, that would be great.
Well, the first which pops on in my mind was the Potocki castle, which is like one of the most famous castles in Ukraine. It's more a mansion than a castle in the classic meaning, but it's called castle. So yeah, and it's like super fancy Barocco style. But what's your castle?
Yeah, I actually found a link in our chat because we have like Google map with these places marked on. So I believe we can share that.
Yep, sure, why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Great. So people will already have something to potentially choose from. Also, quick question: when you're thinking about this settling the base for the Ukrainian society, are you keeping in mind mostly castles, or maybe there is something else? Because I think I saw for some other settings like there could be a base in the lighthouse or at some scientific facility, not necessarily a classic castle. Have you explored, toyed with this concept?
Yeah, let's say between Mythic North and Mythic Britain, we have examples of two quite different in feel and in concept home bases. There is this old castle Glencroitz, and there is this lavish Rose House, which is a very fine mansion. Yes, there is a lot of opportunities to be had because we have castles and we have all ancient mansions in Ukraine. Both are good opportunities.
Yeah, sounds great. Also, taking into consideration the diversity of the landscape, you can have something set in like wild Carpathian mountains, or at the seaside of the Black Sea, or in more rural and central part.
Yeah, I think one idea which you discussed in our chat is that Ukraine is a big country, so we can have several headquarters of local branches of the society.
That's actually great, and how they might communicate in between themselves. This is also a path to explore.
Yeah. And I feel that at one point, Ukrainian different Vaesen societies may ended up in something like Blades in the Dark, because they are competing to have some influence on Vaesens or something like that.
That is an interesting crossover. Uh,
Yep.
Continuing with possible ideas, and I'm sure you already discussed many of those before. Have you thought about potential new archetypes? Something very I don't know, unique, and something which might not fall under existing concept, that it would need a new archetype, or not really?
Well, I remember that we had uh, mm, discussion about that, but it was the short discussion which was not burned and consumed 3 hours of our editing life. So it was the archetype for the bandurist or kobzar,
Mm.
who is a traveling musician and a storyteller, and during that time they were the only carriers of the knowledge about the Cossack past and the freedom, and they seen these heroic stories. So yeah, and often they were blind. So that could be also a bit spicy element of the role play. But yeah, if we will write the Mythic Ukraine,
I love
boundaries
the word
will
when, not
definitely
if.
the boundaries will definitely be there, but maybe something else.
Yeah, but the concept is amazing. I mean, if a man is blind with the regular sight, but he has a true sight, like this true vision, this builds
Yep.
the idea
And
very well.
in the classical rules, we have the academic archetype. So it's like the more scientific knowledge based, and the boundarist may become like this story, wisdom, folklore, cultural knowledge based, like the spirit of the people who lived in the villages and who he probably heard like the tons of the stories about different strange events and Vaesens.
So this is basically a traveling storyteller.
Yep, that's true.
That is interesting. I remember we've been discussing the possible variant of Chumak, like the people who were delivering salt, which is
Yep.
quite also unique for the region. I'm not sure if it's time-wise appropriate because someone mentioned that it could be a vagabond class. While I still doubt that it's not exactly vagabond because they had an important task to do and they traveled a lot, which gives also a huge potential to encounter different Vaesens, different legends, knowledge from the people from different regions. How do you think? Can it work?
Yeah, I think that how Freligo approaches that, they have this concept of mythic region, and the time appropriate is not a very important concept here. So it's like roughly 19th century, but you can take things, for example, 100 layers years later or 100 years prior to that and mix them into your story because you're creating your own alternative version of the world here.
Okay, so relaxed.
Yeah.
That gives a lot of material to work with, both to GMs and to people like yourself who are given this instrument, these tools to develop.
Yep, that's true.
We're
That would
touching.
be the whole other story when we will have a timeline and put the different things, and we will consider if it fits there or it's not. Let's don't, please don't talk about this today.
Yeah.
We
Okay,
are not
okay.
ready.
I'm honestly sorry, but I'm so excited having this opportunity to ask about all of hot details and sneak peeks. But yeah, even talking now with you, I can see that there was a lot of challenges organizing the process, coming up with ideas. But from your point of view, what was the most challenging? If you can like pick one or two things.
uh,
Is it an because everything was so smooth, or an because there were tons of challenges and you do not know which to pick?
well, as for me, I was editing the English translation, and I'm not a professional philologist. Uh, so it was like just an hours of googling, and by the end of the book, I've got myself on the some sort of addiction because when you're spending like 40 minutes for the right translation of the word and you find this word, the exact one which you read the sentence and it just fits there, the serotonin in your brain just explodes, and then you, okay, I want to translate more words to get more serotonin. And so yeah, the biggest challenge I believe was to find the exact the right word for me. So like when we had a word for obsiste, which uh, if we translate word by word means sit around, but it's not sit around, it's more like
Sitting on
uh,
top of you or something?
it's more hang onto you,
Uh-huh.
or cling onto you. So it's like more this process of being on you and with you. And when you find the right word, I was like, yeah, that's one.
Well, that's great. That's amazing.
And
Um,
maybe for
Eugen?
you.
Yeah, for me, I was like high level organizing this. So I believe Alexander and Bogdan, who was doing layout design, have taken the hardest hits in terms of hard work. But from my point of view, I can say that though we had amazing sources like demonology and Krni, I
Yep.
still felt that I lack some maybe proper education about how people lived in those times, what they believed it, to properly imagine this time and this world. Yeah, so I felt like I need to know more.
And I believe that when we will write Mythic Ukraine, we will definitely include some historians on this period of time and some culturologists, so some ethnographs who can properly consult us on the more deeply, because to write some general parts in the example of conflict or in the Vaesen description, it's like it's enough your qualification just to Google it and read a few sources. But like to write more something more complex, you will need to have more complex worldview and the knowledge of the situation.
Yeah, right. I also have another question from the chat. If we use the supplement in our games, how do we let you know? My top of the head answer would be drop in a comment directly on the Drive Through
Right
RPG
through.
website, or maybe our awesome guests will give other options.
I think I dropped a comment when we released the Ukrainian version with my email. I think I will do that also for English version. And yeah, that's until we find better option to gather feedback.
And probably I will create for now a text channel here in the Roleplay Ukraine server. So it will be open after the end of the festival, and you can come there, ask some questions, and write your feedback as well.
Yeah, so that's a great opportunity. So we have
Yeah.
several options directly through Drive-Through RPG, through the comments, or connecting with the authors through their emails, or just hang out here, and then you can not only leave your feedback, but actually discuss anything you want with the authors and some other people who might play it. Thank you for asking. That was a good question. Um, okay, this is a last call, I believe, for questions. If anyone else has some, we are about to wrap up our stream. But meanwhile, I made myself a note not to forget.
Okay, don't
You
worry.
yes, you also mentioned helping others publish to publish some supplements and adventures. Um, how did it start for you? Did you have someone who helped you with your first books or supplements or whatever, or you were just investigating everything on your own?
Yeah, so I remember how it started for me. I just started aiming. I think it was like 6 months for me. And then I saw somebody dropped in the chat a link to write your first adventure course, which was organized by some third-party authors for Dungeons Dragons. And I passed it. Like I signed up and studied here how to do this, and I was amazed. I published my first adventure then in a short time second, and it was very cool. And then when we started publishing this collection of Ukrainian adventures, we discovered that not a lot of game masters in Ukraine know how to like express their adventure in written form so that it can be easily understood by other game master and how to publish it. So we struggled a bit with this first collection, and now we're working on the second one, and we are like more closely working with people. And I believe for all of them it will be the first published adventure. So yeah.
Yeah, great. Alexander, was it the first one for you? This supplement?
The Vaesen.
Yeah.
I was doing like some different things before, but yeah, the Vaesen is well. 2 months ago, I wouldn't believe that we will publish 2 books in English and in Ukrainian language, and it's like a book with the gorgeous uh, layout, with gorgeous illustrations from more than 10 artists or 12, I'm not sure. So yeah, that's really like some myth coming to the reality. And I see that we have to finish, and I also want to ask you, Tasha, you've already looked at the Ukrainian edition of the book, and I want to ask you, and then Eugene, what is your favorite Vaesen from this book?
Ooh, I have two, but now I need to make a spoiler alert because my potential players might be watching. If you do, just, I don't know, stuck fingers in your ears, do not listen anymore. I absolutely love the stories when something happened to Vaesans through humans, like the one where V actually sleeps in mine and people start mining and that just wake him up and he's immediately starts just killing everyone around him. And this creature can kill with one gaze. And I was like, this is an amazing story because it just wants to sleep. It loves a nap. I love my nap. I'm a terrible morning person. So I can totally relate. I can
Uh,
totally relate.
well, and I believe that probably you like V that much that he has some this Lovecraftian flavor. So, and you as a game master who runs Call of Cthulhu
Definitely.
mostly, uh, yeah, there is some weird, super overpowerful creature underground, and people do not know what they are doing with it.
Exactly. And
Yeah,
I absolutely love that there is no like evil behind it. It's just, it happened. It was asleep. You woke me up. Now you die.
yep. And you, Eugene?
Eugen?
Yes, so for me, like mentioned, I also love V because like it's a truly terrifying weapon and it can be a dangerous encounter for your party. I like Chort because he's like the father of all evil in Ukrainian myth, so he's an interesting concept. And also has an interesting backstory. If you read the fairy tales about him, that he was created by God and was his servant, and then he split off. So it's like it's different take on Satan in Western mythology, I would say, and it's an interesting take. I also love Spria. It's like it's a helping, a familiar spirit which stays with a person and helps them through life. Like in the core Weisner books, there is introduced the concept of the familiars, but there are not a lot of examples of them, and we have 5 of them. And I think interesting stories can also be built around them. And
That is very true.
the third one, I have Prelesnik because yeah, he's also very unique, very interesting. This shape-shifting character, and one thing which I noticed is a very common thing in Ukrainian mythology and West in which we publish it, that there is some evil woman who tries to kill men, but with Prelesnik it is other way around, and that makes him kind of unique. Yeah.
That is true. That is very true. We have to wrap up about now. So
Yep.
thank you very much for my amazing guest. I was really excited. It was a pleasure. Thank you for everyone who was watching, who will watch. If you're watching us from the future, please leave us a like and a comment. Tell us. if it was helpful. I sure hope it was. And please donate in the course of our fundraising event, and also have a look at the charitable links which are in the description of the book itself, and they are always there if you want to donate to a good cause helping Ukrainians. You can always do it even after the festival, both through the links which are present here and through the links which are in the description of the mythic Ukrainian creatures for Vaesen. Thank you once again, and see you around the table.
Thank you. See you.
Thank you so much. See you.